So Adam Silver hasn't been shy in recent years with trying to shake things up in the NBA. He introduced the play-in tournament back in 2020, which as far as I'm concerned was a huge success. And last year news broke that the league will now have an in-season tournament. And we now know that along with the tournament games, there will also be unique court designs for each team. And it's clear the NBA wanted to make a statement with these courts because some of these are very loud. They definitely wanted the casual viewer that just throws on the game to know that this isn't just a regular season game, this is an in-season tournament that has a bit more stakes than just wins and losses. Which is smart, let's make it as fun and meaningful as possible, because outside the $500K for each player on the winning team, there isn't a whole lot at stake other than bragging rights. And I think they could have added a bit more spice to things. Maybe whichever conference wins the tournament gets an automatic home court advantage for the finals, or something along those lines. But regardless, these new courts are special for two reasons. One, it's the first time the NBA introduces a league-wide court design, and two, it's the first time that an NBA court doesn't feature any hardwood element, which is cool. I just think it's funny that the NBA went this hard with the in-season tournament courts. Meanwhile, you could barely tell that you were watching the NBA finals last year. Who decided to get rid of this? But anyways, the point of this video is to rank each court from worst to best, so let's get right into the tier list. First up on the tier list, we have the Philadelphia 76ers. And looking at this court, there's nothing terrible about it. Doesn't scream 76ers to me. And I'm not a huge fan of their City Edition uniforms with the City of Brotherly Love. And it seems like this court's kind of playing off the City Edition, which is a common theme for a lot of these courts. It's not offensive to me, but it's not the best that I've seen. I think I'm just going to start out putting it on B tier. May not stay there, but let's continue. Next up, the Milwaukee Bucks. And honestly, this might be one of my favorites of the bunch. I love Milwaukee's Fear the Deer slogan. It's one of the elite ones out there. The colors look nice. Looks almost like a normal court. The mint green stripe they have going through the center really pops against the tan background. And I like the logo that they used for the center. Honestly, I don't have anything bad to say about this logo. I'm putting this one in S tier. I really like this one. Next up, the Chicago Bulls, and this one's similar to Philadelphia for me. I don't hate it, don't love it. They don't have their little slogan that whatever they do, I think it's See Red or something. I don't love the Bulls logo just being white in the middle. Just looks like an unfinished coloring book to me. Colors aren't bad. Doesn't scream Chicago either. I think I'm gonna put this one in C tier. I don't quite love it as much as the 76ers. It's not terrible, but I'm just gonna put it in C tier for now. Now we have Cleveland. They have their slogan, let them know, there at the bottom. Almost a normal court looking color with a slightly brighter stripe down the middle. It's not terrible, honestly. It's not offensive. It's not blinding me. It's not hurting my eyes, which is more than you can say for some other ones. I'm just gonna put it in B tier. Yeah, B tier is fine. I mean, it's not bad enough for C tier in my opinion, but it's kind of boring. So now we have the Boston Celtics, which is cool for a couple reasons. I think this is the first time that Boston has ever done an alternate court to begin with. It's very Boston, some of these you look at the court and you have no idea what team this is supposed to be for. So I do kind of like it when teams stick to their tradition. You got the green background with the gold stripe. Nice classic Boston logo with the Celtics on the side. Nothing bad to say about it. I like it. It's A tier for me. So now we have the Clippers, and the one downside that I think with all these Nike alternate jerseys that we get every year is that teams kind of lose their identity after a while, just doing different iterations, trying to keep things a little bit too fresh. And I think the Clippers are one of those teams. I'm just not sure what their look is anymore. It's not a bad court at all. It just doesn't scream Clippers. I like when teams have a tradition that they can stick to. Mix it up every once in a while, but with these new uniforms coming out every single year, I think it's starting to become a problem. I'm going to put these in B tier for now. I think I'll put them above the Cavs, but behind the Sixers, but solidly in B tier. Next up, we have the Memphis Grizzlies, and this was a missed opportunity for me. I think their new kind of powder blue uniforms look really nice, and they could have done really well with this court, I think, but instead they just decided to go with 2 shades of gray. Center logo is fine, again, just with the gold. I think it could have popped a little bit more with adding some blue accents in there. So I'm just gonna put this one in C tier. I think it's actually worse than the Bulls logo. So next up, we have the Atlanta Hawks, and it says lift as we fly. Not sure where that came from. Hawks fans, let me know in the comments what that is referencing, but take the center logo out and I have no idea which team this belongs to. The colors themselves look great. I think this would have been great for the Memphis Grizzlies, honestly. Would have looked really cool, stuck to their tradition. Again, nothing nothing offensive about this court. I don't love it for the Hawks. Just because I like the colors, I'm gonna put it in B tier. Nothing much to say about it. Now with the Miami Heat, and this isn't bad. Honestly, I'm getting more Houston vibes than Miami. I think it would have looked a little bit better if they would have put their flaming basketball logo in the center instead of the Heat. I still like this court. It's not bad. I'm just gonna put it slightly ahead of the 76ers here in the B tier. It's starting to fill up the B tier here pretty fast. A lot of mid courts here. But yeah, I would have liked them to use their more deeper maroon. Maybe swap this one out for the one that Chicago used. I don't know. It seems like they deliberately took colors from one team and gave them to another just to see how it would look. These courts are kind of breaking my brain a little bit. So now taking a look at the Charlotte Hornets, I honestly, I mean, I really like the colors. The hive is alive for the slogan at the bottom is kind of cool. The logo in the center looks great. I think I might put this one in A tier for Charlotte, surprisingly. Don't love the Spectrum sponsor just because I don't like Spectrum Internet in general. So I'm gonna have to deduct points from them for that, but I still have them in A tier. Not above Boston, but solidly in A tier. Next up, the Utah Jazz, and this one hits home to me because this is the first court that I was exposed to. My friend sent me this in a group chat, and at first I thought it was just one of his 2K builds that he made, and then he told me that it's an actual court that the NBA is going to use. Being a Jazz fan, I don't love it. I don't love the shade of purple that they use. They are kind of doing a modern incorporation of the mountains, which a lot of fans have been asking for, but I think it might have been cool to use kind of a black and yellow scheme. Would have been kind of unique from some of the other teams. This purple court, I don't love it. I'm going to put at the end of B tier. It's grown on me a little bit. I still don't like it very much, but that's just where we're going to have it for now. Next up is the Sacramento Kings. This one's not bad. I do like the red, white, and blue touch along the bottom. I do like them going with the alternate logo for the center. I think that looks really nice. Don't love gray. That's the only thing that's really docking points for me right now on this. But aside from that, I like it. I think it's solidly in B tier. I'm gonna put it at the top of B tier. Finally, one that I really like, the New York Knicks. Love sticking to the traditional colors, orange and blue, tried and true. New York Knicks all the way. I do like the overlapping New York logo also. One of the best color schemes in the NBA in general, and I'm glad that they really leaned into it for their court design. I'm gonna put this up in the A tier, and you know what? After thinking about it, I actually think I'm gonna put this in S tier. Not quite on the level of Milwaukee. I'm gonna put them first. It's top tier. And next up, we have the Los Angeles Lakers, which I think, if I'm not mistaken, is another one of those teams that has never had an alternate court before. It's not bad. I mean, traditional Lakers. I think this is what the great franchises do. Basically, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So not much to say. I mean, it's just classic Lakers, and I think they did it really well. So I'm solidly in the A tier. I do like Boston a little bit more, but I'll put them above Charlotte. Now we have the Orlando Magic, and I kind of hate it. And it's not just the gray design. It's just that they have so many colors that they can use, and they went with gray. The center logo, I don't really understand it. Let me know, Magic fans. Is this kind of reference to anything, or is this one of their city edition jerseys that they're going to be rocking this year? Yeah, I think so. Feeling towards, I don't have any connection to it, so that's why I'm going to have to dock it points. I'm going to put it in C tier. I just kind of hate it. Next up, we have the Mavericks. And again, so much potential, and they just decide to go with gray. I do like the center logo, but I'm just going to have to put this again with the other gray ones in the C tier. It is, I think it's the best of the gray ones in my opinion, but still not very good. Next up, the Brooklyn Nets. Honestly, is what their brand has been the past decade. It's just kind of simplistic designs and their traditional uniforms. They have gone a little bit funky with some of their alternates. I think it would have been cool if they kind of leaned into their city edition jerseys, which is one of the best in my opinion in the league. Okay, I take that back. Not this season, but I'm talking about last year, and I think the year before as well. If they could have leaned into that design, this court would have been fire, honestly. But this one's just kind of boring for me. It's gonna go along here with the other great courts. The reigning champion Denver Nuggets. I don't hate this court. It's reminding more of the Indiana Pacers than the Denver Nuggets. But again, the colors these days have nothing to do with the team. It's not terrible. I think I'm gonna put in B tier. I actually kind of like it. Let's be generous. Let's put it at the bottom of A tier. I think it is on that level. Next up is Indy, and I really can't decide if I love it or hate it. By itself, if I didn't associate it with the Indiana Pacers at all, I think this would be one of my favorite designs of the bunch. I can't fully decide if I like teams sticking to tradition or going with something new. I think Indy did it right though. Let me know, Indiana Pacers fans, in the comments what this new logo design is trying to reference here. I'm gonna put it in A tier as well. It's a good design. Next up is one of the wildest designs of the bunch. We have the New Orleans Pelicans, and it's so bad that it's actually kind of good. The center logo, where did this come from? If this is some kind of reference to the City Edition uniforms, let me actually pull up the City Edition uniforms to double check. I want to put this in D tier and S tier at the same time. Maybe that means it's B. It's too absurd to be in the middle of the pack. It's either A or D. I either want to give them props for doing something totally out of the box or dock them all their points for not sticking to anything traditional. Screw it. I'm putting it in A tier. I'm putting it at the bottom of an A tier. I'm going to give them props for being so absurd. Next up, Detroit. I kind of hate it. I don't like it at all. Kind of got to give it props to the Pelicans actually, because they did it right. If you're not going to stick to your tradition, just go all out. Don't throw your tradition away for a gray court and some random design that you just had to come up with because we're doing new uniforms every single year. This one is actually offensively bad. This one's D tier. Now we have the Toronto Raptors. They have one of the best slogans in the league, We the North. I do like the gold that they incorporate in a lot of their jerseys. I wish they would have put a gold stripe through the middle instead of just 2 shades of gray, which, you know, again, I don't love the gray, or maybe make the center logo a different color. It's just gonna go again in C tier. It's a darker shade of gray, which makes it a little bit better. Next up, we have Houston, and this one just screams B tier right away. I do like the red against the blue. Honestly, it looks more like the Pistons than the Rockets. The H-Town logo is kind of cool. I'm not in love with it, but I don't hate it. I'm gonna put it at the top of B tier. Next up is one that surprised me, and one that I actually really like. It's the San Antonio Spurs. It does kind of give some Southwestern vibes though. The color scheme, the light green and the yellow, and it does kind of respect the past a little bit with the light pink that they have incorporated in some past uniforms. I actually really like this one. I was gonna put it in A tier, but the more I look at it, I really like it. I'm gonna put this one all the way up in S tier. Let me know what you guys think. Okay, now we have the Phoenix Suns, which they have had some of the best city jerseys in the league for the past few years. Purple isn't my favorite color to use. Maybe it would have been better if they swapped the colors, kind of the majority of the court that turquoise and then just the center stripe orange, but it's not terrible. I think I'm gonna put this one in A tier again, but at the back of A tier. Should I put it in front of the Pelicans? Now we have the Oklahoma City Thunder, which I can't be too mad about because this core screams Oklahoma City, sticking to their young tradition. I do kind of like the Oklahoma logo at the bottom. It's just kind of simplistic, but it works really well. Orange logo in the center pops against the background. This one's not bad. It's not my favorite. Does it go in A tier is the question. I think this one tops B tier for me. Coming up towards the end, we have the Portland Trailblazers. Rip City, awesome design, awesome logo. I do like the plaid that they're introducing here, kind of representing the Pacific Northwest. So at least it's making sense. The red core with the tan stripe. I don't love the tan color. It's all right. I like this one a lot. I think I'm gonna put it at the behind Oklahoma City in B tier. It's not a bad court design at all. Nothing special. It's nothing crazy, but pretty good. The Minnesota Timberwolves. It's just pretty bland. I mean, each color by themselves is nice, but those two together, they're too similar. It's just all blending together. And then again, it's sort of like the Chicago Bulls logo. It looks like an unfinished coloring book. They could have put a lot more color in here, made it pop a lot more. This one I think is going in the C tier. It's borderline with these gray courts right here. The question is it better than the Bulls logo? And just because I like blue more, I'm gonna put it above the Bulls. So tops of C tier, so congratulations on that. Not my favorite. Now for the Golden State Warriors. And again, they could have done so much with this. Let me get a look at their City Edition jerseys just to put the pieces together. No, I don't like it. I don't like the color choice. I think they would have been better off, again, kind of like I said with the Jazz, where it would have been cool with the black and then the pop of yellow down the middle. Instead, they went with kind of this weird light brown. The center logo doesn't really pop at all. It just kind of blends in with the trophy color. I don't love this one. I think I'm going to put it in C tier as well. I'm going to put it behind the Mavs. Last but not least, we have the Washington Wizards. This is another one. Washington Wizards fans, comment down below, what the heck does this mean? Let me take a look at the City Edition jerseys really quick. See if this makes any kind of sense. See, I'm still looking directly at their jersey and I still am confused. I'm so curious to know what Wizards fans think of these jerseys. As far as the court goes, it's almost on the level of New Orleans Pelicans, where you just go so crazy that it's either so good or so bad. And honestly, this one's so bad. There was no in between with this one. It either had to be A tier or D tier. I kind of hate it. So, but yeah, this is the final list, guys. Let me know what you guys think. But you know, props to the NBA for doing something new, keeping things fresh. It'll be exciting to watch. And I really want to see what these courts look like in person. I may have to do a new tier list after the fact. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.